Let's go. Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go now.
What's up? What's up?
I was getting down, bro, and you stopped it on me
I
so
did, man.
quick.
I'm. Hey, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. You
Hey,
got to
that's
do what you
okay.
got to
I
do.
like that opening music, man. That's good stuff.
Welcome to Catch This Bros. I am Wade Foster. That is
Tate Foster.
Tate Foster. We grew up together, but we're weird even though we don't live. I live in North Carolina. I live in North Carolina. He lives in Florida. This is our fourth. Tate, can you believe it? We've done something for at least 3 weeks in a
Well,
row.
we grew up together because we're brothers. That's why, if you don't know, we're
Yeah.
siblings.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Tate Foster, Wade Foster. That's kind of what that means. So,
Hey,
uh,
sort of a great thing, just to let you know.
okay.
Uh, I reached out to an old friend just today, actually, about this song that they've been promoting on their
Okay.
Facebook page, and I was like, I've never heard this person before, but I listened to it, and let me tell you what, an amazing song, great song, well produced, everything about
Okay.
the song,
Who'd
even
you
the
reach out
bridge,
to?
the hook. Uh, Valerie, her maiden name, I forget what her maiden name is, but
Ward?
her original name, yeah, Valerie Ward.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely, that's
We
who it
grew up with
was.
them when we lived in
And
Europe.
and right here, Naomi Faith. Let me see if I put it right up there for you.
Last word sing. Yeah. You sent that to me and I listened to it. That is a phenomenal song.
Yeah, that's a
Phenomenal.
great
Powerful,
song. I mean,
anointed Christian song.
yeah, if you're going if you're going through a tough time and in your life, I mean, it's a great song to really minister to you. And even if you're not going through a hard time, it is a great song. I mean, just the way it was constructed. I mean, you and I like to break down music and like to listen
Right.
at different things. It's got a really nice hook to it. When you get to the chorus, it's really nice. Nice bridge on it. Really builds. She's got a beautiful voice, sings tremendous. And this is, I think, the debut song, the first song. I pulled it up on
Is she dropping a whole album or?
that. I don't know, but the song is called "Last Word." It's a single
Okay.
by
Hmm.
Naomi Faith. This is it was dropped on February 7th, so it just came
Oh,
out this
fresh.
month. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just
You'd
came out.
sent it to
Really
me
good
to
song.
listen to this morning and I listened to it and I was like, wow. And really good. Honestly, it doesn't surprise me, Tate, just because I mean we grew up with um, the Ward girls and of course their brother. Um,
Well, they're tremendous, tremendous musicians and singers in their own right. And
yeah,
matter of fact, I remember when we were younger, they had a group, and they used to
yeah.
sing at youth camps, teen camps, camp meetings, all over the place. Used to
There was
sing,
the
just very
Wards,
anointed.
the Sizemores,
Wards and
and
the
they were all
Sizemores,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
of course, I see Patricia actually every year at General Assembly, Valerie's older sister. Neil, did you know Neil, her husband?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew Neil or not
No,
because Neil was at East
I
Coast when I
never
was a
met Neil.
freshman. Neil was
Yeah,
at
I
East
never
Coast
met
when I
Neil.
was a freshman, so I knew Neil, real Neil Durham. Good couple. Known them. We've known them pretty much our whole life. I think we met the Wards. I know I was 10, and this is Valerie and Neil's daughter, correct?
Yeah, we met them when we were living in Germany.
Yep.
For everybody who don't know, we lived in Germany for 4 years and lived
Mm-hmm.
in Belgium for 2 years when we were
Year. It was only a year
kids.
in Belgium. We had to leave a little
Our
early.
our father, Greg Greg Foster, Reverend Holy Greg.
Bishop.
You always have to put that in there.
His name's
But
Gregory Earl. We call him Bishop
he was a
G.E. Foster.
he was a missionary. My mother and father were missionaries to Europe. It was a program with the Church of God called the Ministry to the Military. And my
Yep.
father had a lot of experience in the military, was in the military, and we
Yep.
worked.
Fought in
Uh,
Vietnam.
I say me and Wade were just kids, so we were just sort of along for the journey. But my mother and father worked very hard over there. Dad working in the ministry. Mom actually worked for the Red Cross. I do remember that. She worked
Yep.
for the
At
Red Cross
Frankfurt
over there.
AM Main Hospital right there in Frankfurt, Germany.
But yeah, and that's where we met a lot of people that we still know that are in ministry, that are involved in a lot of areas of music, in all kinds of areas of ministry. We met a lot of them when we were kids.
Yep.
Matter of fact, Greg Evans
Mm-hmm.
pastors a church not even 5 miles from where I live right here in Florida. Greg Evans,
Yeah. And
which
you actually used to be minister of music at the church that he's now pastoring, correct?
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, years ago,
Small world.
definitely. So it is a small world, but that's not what we wanted to get on and talk about today. Wade, take it away. What you got for us?
Well, I was gonna. There you go.
What was that?
That's me figuring out how to use this stuff, Tater. Today, Tate and I we're going into a certain area, and I've probably said this every podcast. It's not a Christian podcast, but we're Christians. So today we're going to be talking about something in particular. So I've got a bit of an opener. Tate's never played this game before. It's called 20 Questions, and what it is he has 20 questions to figure out who, what, where what I'm talking about.
The problem is when you have attention deficit disorder, you never get to number 20. You only get to like number 3, and you're like, squirrel just went by.
Well, the key is that if you can get to it before 20, you can guess it. So
okay, let's see if we get to see if I can guess.
So with that, here we go, Tate, and I'll keep track. All right, you ready? Go. Okay. Question number 1.
Okay, good. Hit me with it.
No, you got to ask me the questions, and I tell you yes or no.
I have no questions in my mind right now, bro. My mind is not.
I have something. I have something. You got to guess what I'm thinking about. Okay, person, place, or thing, and you're trying to figure out what that person is, that place is, or that thing is. And so you ask questions trying to figure it out up until 20 questions, and then after
so I'm going to ask you questions
and try to narrow it down and figure it out.
About what am I thinking?
Not you.
You don't know what I'm thinking because I'm asking questions to you about what you're thinking.
Folks, we need to pray because I'm sure this is going to work with Tate. Okay. You will ask me questions to try to figure out. You're asking questions to get clues to what I'm trying to get you to guess. Okay?
Okay.
And if you get it, you win. And if you don't get it, I win.
Okay, ask me the question.
You have to ask me.
This is not working, bro. This is not working. Okay, what
for example, okay? Let's say it was a person. You would say, is it a person? And I would say, yes. Is it a male? Yes. Is it a female? Okay, you get what I'm saying?
All right, I'll ask you. Yeah. Is it an animal?
No.
Yes, it is.
No, it is not.
Because I know what it is. It's in my mind. It's an elephant.
No.
Yes, it is. How do you know it's not an elephant?
Because I'm the one that figured it out, not you, you stupid idiot. You got to guess what I'm thinking, not guess what you're thinking. That's not guessing.
Let's not go into this game. This is not working, Wade. You definitely don't understand how this works. So let's get into...
I understand it. You don't. Okay, Tate, here's the thing. Okay. Don't tell me, but you think of something, okay? I'll guess, all right? Is it a person?
No.
Is it an animal?
Yes.
Is it an elephant?
Yes, it is.
Yay, I win. I got it in 3.
Good job, Wade.
I'm so smart.
This is a dumb game.
It's not. It's actually fun if you...
Hey, let's get
Lord
into...
Jesus, help us.
Let's get into our subject matter that we were going to talk about. Otherwise, we're going to lose all of our people. So we wanted to talk about what place does your faith play? What place does your faith play in your politics?
Okay.
How does your faith play into your politics? Or does it not play into your politics? Or does it go hand in hand with your politics? Or are you not political? That kind of thing.
That is a loaded question. And we talked about this in advance. And I literally thought about it. I thought about writing stuff down. but I decided that I would just go off the cuff with this, because I will let you know that my faith shapes everything that I am and almost everything that I do. With that said, does that mean I'm perfect? Did I always make the right choice? No. For like example, one of the things that I've noticed, Tate, and just a little history, you know this, but some of the listeners might not. You and I both went to East Coast Bible College, Church of God school, very, very conservative. And understand when I say conservative, I'm not talking as in Christian conservative. I have a real problem when people are Christians and they say, "Are you Christian?" I'm sorry, are you? And they're talking about your church, and they'll say, "Well, are you conservative or liberal?" And those type of settings, I want to say I'm Christian. But when it comes to politics, that's a different question, because politics is not. I don't like the word religion, but it's not religion. So
It's funny you say that though, because when you, I know lots of people that are Christians that are highly connected to their politics, and it's
right,
almost like their politics and their Christianity go hand in hand. And it's almost like if you speak out against say a particular candidate that is not their candidate, so they consider that candidate not to be a godly candidate or whatever, they mix it to almost like Christianity and faith is the same. Christianity and politics are the same thing, and they're not at all.
no,
I mean, being a Democrat or being a Republican or being a Libertarian has no bearing
or independent.
on, or yeah, it has no bearing on, I think, anything to do with Christianity. When you are a Christian, that's a whole different thing. That's not an affiliation to a party. Being a Christian is part of being. My Bible says is part of being a part of a holy nation is
Yeah.
what you're part of. Doesn't know what it says?
We're a peculiar
are
people, a holy nation. We're peculiar,
yeah,
meaning different or set apart.
yeah. So being a Christian has nothing to do with a political standpoint. And if you think being political is Christian, you're wrong, is what I think.
Okay, then here's my question, and I agree with that. But does that mean as Christians we should be involved in the political realm of stuff?
I think Christians, that's a good question, because I think Christians,
Because
it's a
there are those that
choice.
say you shouldn't, those that say you should.
It's a choice. I feel like you've got to know something a little bit about what's going on government wise,
Right.
because there are things that happen that are going to affect you as a human being. It's going to affect you as a husband, as a father, as a pastor of a church, as a worker in the workforce. There's things that are going to affect you,
Right.
and that I think you need to, but I don't think you. I mean, if you want to run for be a politician, run and be a politician. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Well,
I
should
mean,
we vote?
Yes,
Okay.
I think you should vote. I think you should vote. And if you choose not to vote, you shouldn't have to have any input or talk anything about voting.
There you
Because
go.
if you didn't have a choice in making a decision on whoever the person is in the area of where you voted for,
Right.
if you didn't vote, you don't have a say. That's what.
In other words, if you didn't vote, don't complain. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's all right, Christian perspective. When you study the Bible, would you not say the Bible is a book of politics?
There's a no. I don't think that at all. I think the Bible is a book of history. I wouldn't
Okay,
think
it's a
of
historical book, but
politics.
what's it the history of?
It's the history. I mean, you go in the Old Testament of mankind,
Okay,
and it's
mankind.
also a
And then what?
history of the church.
That's New Testament, church.
The church, and then also the history of a nation.
A nation.
Mhm.
And so when you go from Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, you see the shaping of the earth, the forming of a people group, and then you see Moses leading them out. You see the law being put in place. You see things getting put in place in order to lead those people. Then you go into, after Deuteronomy, Judges, and then the Chronicles and Kings and and you start going into all the scope of Old Testament Israel, correct?
Yeah.
Would you not say that's political?
I think it could be. I think it could be political. It could
See,
be
I think
somewhat
it's very
political.
political. I mean,
I
because
mean, there are a
God even
lot of
says, the
political.
Bible even says that a nation with a godly leader will prosper and a nation without godly leaders will suffer. That's literally
Yeah.
addressing the political scope. And I get what you're saying. I think it's all of that. But I actually believe when you look at the Bible, that the majority, a vast majority of the Bible is the political landscape of Israel and the things that they went to. And then when you go into the New Testament, you actually see the political landscape of something that I don't particularly like, which is the inner politics inside of religion, meaning the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and how they reacted, and how that Jesus directly came against their religiosity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Now they come a little bit sooner now in history. So it's a big thing now. There has to be, and this is something you probably speak on intelligently, the separation of church and state.
Okay, you're talking
And
American politics and that.
yeah, American politics now, and that's a big thing that a lot of people are like. I can't believe you're not supposed to get up in the pulpit and you're not supposed to speak on this or speak on that and go and persuade in a certain direction politically. So why was the separation of church and state? Why did that happen?
Well, first of all, interesting thing you bring that up. That's nowhere in our Constitution. That's in a letter that was written, I want to say, by Andrew Jackson. I could be wrong, but it's in a letter that Andrew Jackson was talking about. He's talking about the separation of church and state, and what he's talking about, how that the state should have no effect on governing the church. But what has happened through the ages as it's gone down is
Right.
that phrase has been used to say the church should have no scope in governing their country. And so, therefore, basically saying people that are of faith, of any faith, Christianity, Muslim, anything like that, have no right speaking their opinion in the public square of government and politics. And that separation of church and state, again, it's not in the Constitution. It's not a law. It's a letter that Andrew Jackson wrote, and he wrote it in that letter, but yet it's been enforced like it was law, and it's not a law.
So why is it that so many pastors of churches are afraid to speak out
Ooh, this could get
against
interesting. Here's the deal.
stuff? Now, the reason why I ask you that, here in the state of Florida, we had a big thing on the ticket this past election, and it had to do with abortion. And they were trying to pass some certain things about abortion, and I think it was bill number 4 is what it was.
Okay.
And our pastor at our church actually had a lady come into our church and speak about it, about the issue, the abortion issue. This lady happened to be in charge of a women's clinic to help women, that have been through terrible situations with abortions and trying to protect people from trying to get people not to have abortions. Okay. And she spoke in our church, and then they had a big thing up on the screen about vote no on 4, that kind of stuff, which I thought was amazing. I was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, because
that takes guts.
This right here. Yeah. And this makes an effect on your community, because he wasn't speaking out against a political issue. He was speaking out against a sin issue. Murdering babies is a sin issue. You're not supposed to murder babies. Right. And it's a sin issue. And so that's why it was spoken out against. He wasn't speaking out against a political issue. He was speaking out against a sin issue. And that's how he was. He spoke. He said, I'm speaking out against a sin issue here. That's why I want to bring this to you guys. And that's why it's so important here in the state of Florida that we vote no on number 4.
Right. And interesting thing with that. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
How do I take the question out? I'm going to share as a pastor. There's something that I know. So let's say in that particular situation that you're talking about. So he talked about how that it's a sin issue, and abortion being a sin issue. And granted, there are opinions both ways on that. You and I both believe abortion is murder. And when the woman says it's my right to choose my body, my right, problem with that is the body inside of you is not your body. It's another baby. You can agree, disagree, but not going into that right now. But the interesting thing is that when he brought in the political scope, okay, of saying, okay, this is the bill that's up there. You said Article 4, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was number 4 is what it was, I believe.
Legally, I don't know if he knew this or not. However much time the lady that spoke in favor of voting that down, if somebody there found out about it, or in the weeks later or before they had that vote found out about it, he legally has to give the same amount of time to a person that says that you should vote against this. So you gotta, that's the problem. Because what happened, so like for instance, let's say it's an election year. I'm pro-Democrat, okay? I'm just throwing that out there. So I'm pro-Democrat. So
Well,
I have.
That's true. This podcast is over.
Yeah, it's not. But let's say I'm pro-Democrat and I let a Democrat that's running for office come into my church and they speak for 10 minutes trying to impress the congregation and get their vote, okay?
Right.
Legally, I have to give the same amount of time in my pulpit to the other parties or I can lose my tax-free status.
Oh, so it's about the taxes.
That's why pastors don't do it, because
they're afraid to lose their tax-free status because that has been threatened.
Because if I allow, okay, I voted Republican. So if I allowed Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or whoever, who's your governor? I forget, Ron DeSantis, speak in my church for 5-10 minutes, and he's running for office. So Ron DeSantis speaks for 10 minutes. I then legally have to give the person that is running against him the same amount of time. And so what a lot of preachers do, because they don't want to give voice to what they don't support, so that they don't lose tax-free status, they don't do anything.
Man, so what has happened in that political state is the government has shut the mouth of the church, per se.
You know what's interesting about that, Tate? And this might appear to be racial, but it's not. This is just a factual racial comment. The African American church does it on the regular and doesn't allow the other side. They just do their side, which is usually the Democrat side. But they'll bring in people. I mean, you've seen Hillary Clinton act like she was black and preach at different things, and other political people that are on the Democrat side or the liberal side or the left side of the scope speak in these churches, but you don't see it. You don't see any repercussion because it's the Democrats. But the minute a Republican were to do it, there would be repercussions because they would fight.
When Hillary did that, what she did is she changed the way she normally speaks and tried to speak with more of a
She was pandering.
Dialect.
She was pandering to her audience.
I don't know how to say that correctly, but yeah. Well, I mean, that's what most politicians do. They pander to their audience.
Yeah, but she didn't do it in just not. There's one thing pandering with what you say in order to get their support. But all of a sudden, she put on a fake voice and a fake accent, started speaking in more of an African American dialect, for lack of a better term, what they call Ebonics, their phrases, that terminology. And nothing wrong with that. If that's, I mean, I have friends that are Caucasian. A friend of mine, Marlon Harris. I mean, he was raised in Pittsburgh in that community, and that's his normal speech. It's not phony. For her, she was raised in Little Rock, Arkansas. That's not her. And so, right. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, she was pandering to the audience to get votes, knowing that it would get a response, knowing that it would make a good clip on CNN or MSNBC or Fox, or, I mean, even though that Fox might not support them, guess what? Fox played it and it got airtime.
There was a big thing that's been going on here lately in our government with DOGE.
Yeah, Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, which is the department that Elon Musk is running, is in charge of. And I heard an interview the other day, and I laughed at it. What's that
That
say?
was going to be my answer to the 20 questions.
Well, I can't read what it
Elon
says.
Musk.
Elon Musk.
That was my answer to 20
Well,
questions that you never got to ask.
well, Elon. So there was somebody was throwing a fit because he's been going to these top secret areas and all this kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and people are all upset about him having access to that. And I'm like,
Yeah, they were saying it's crazy that they're giving him access to Social Security and he's asking for this and all that.
yeah, but he has an SAP access is what he has, which is a special access program, which
Okay.
is it involves high sensitive projects and that kind of stuff. Reason why he has it is he's the one who builds the rockets for NASA.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to have a top security clearance. So this guy has a top security clearance.
Right.
So why are these people going crazy? I mean, they're going crazy because he shouldn't be in there because he shouldn't have this clearance because
He
he
wasn't
doesn't have this.
elected. He wasn't.
He
Guess what? Neither was Fauci.
oh yeah yeah, that's
He
true.
was
He was
appointed
not.
by the president. I mean, it's a normal thing, but they're trying to say it because it doesn't support their narrative. And
Yeah.
you and I know this very, very well as kids. When something goes wrong and somebody's done something bad, your kid that is about to get in trouble will usually try to deflect, be loud, blame some. It's what you used to do, blame me. All these, and the one that's the loudest is usually the one that's about to lose something or get in trouble. And what we're
hmm
seeing here,
or the first kid to get to the parents is usually
yeah,
the one that's in trouble.
yep. So,
The one that
but
runs in the house the fastest and starts blaming is going to get beat.
that's true. And it was always me that got beat. Well, I can't say that, you did too. But we're not beat, spanked. Just so you guys know, our parents did not beat us; they spanked us, and so our Yankee dialect we say beat, which means a spanking. And
Well,
I say that because
beating
in my
is
first church, I talked about
I
how
think
Brooke
that's
and I had an
Southern
argument.
dialect too.
Yeah, I mean, I was preaching Tate when I pastored in Stanley at Frontline Worship Center, and I stood
Uh-huh.
up there one time and I talked about how my wife and I had a fight. And one of the older ladies in the church
Uh-oh.
came up to me and said, "Pastor, why are you fighting with your wife? You shouldn't hit her." I was like, "I never hit my wife." In her mind, that's what fight meant or beat and that type of thing. And I was like, "No, we had an argument." And she's like,
hmm
"Oh." And so I just thought
Yeah.
I'd bring clarity. When we say beat, we're not saying abuse at all.
Yeah. Got to spank it.
Yeah, we got spanking. Parents believe spare the rod, spoil the child. But I actually think now, and it's interesting because I've seen interviews and I've been following on Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm loving what they're doing. And one of the things that I really appreciated is I've seen different interviews and different stuff. And I actually saw an interview yesterday where Elon Musk was asked, and his response, he started talking about, he goes, "Listen," he goes, "we're not perfect." He goes, "We will make mistakes, but when we make those mistakes, we will correct them as soon as possible." Um, and that to me made me feel really good about it because there's some things where they've laid people off and they're actually saying, "Wait, hold on a second, that was not overreach, that ain't the right word. That was an overcorrection, and now let's correct and make this where it should be." Certain little
hmm
things like that. I know people personally with their job, without naming names, that have had meetings with Doge about where they work and different stuff, and Doge is going through everything. And
hmm
it's incredibly interesting. And between you and me, um, it's needed. It's the funny thing is Barack Obama said he was going to do it. Bill Clinton said he was going to do it. All these different people said they were going to do it, but there was no outrage. But now that Donald Trump, and I'm not saying I'm a huge Trump supporter. Did I vote for Trump? Yes, because again, we're talking about politics. Because I feel like the politics of the Republican Party line up better with my faith than the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party, in my opinion, does not support Israel. They are pro-abortion. They are pro-ACLU, which is God out of everything in the public sector, where I believe God should be in it, going back to that separation of church and state thing, where the Republicans talk about how that faith or how that there's personal moral responsibility. But
hmm
the Democrats try to govern a whole group of people and govern that people and say, okay, there's people in there that are wrong, but yet we're going to govern this whole group of people based upon how do you put it? You're white, and so you don't understand. And so therefore we're going to govern and make these rules for the white people, which in my opinion, that's racism. And we're not getting into that today.
Yeah,
Or
it is. Doge. I'm excited about seeing that because I mean, in in the business world, in the private sector is what
Mhm.
most people like to say. In the private sector, if you run a business, you will be audited at least once or twice a year. If you have a good business, you're going to be audited several times a year because you want that because you want to be accountable to your
right,
employees and you want to be accountable to your people.
right,
If you had a business and you said, "Hey, Tate, my business, I'm grossing say $10 million a year is what I'm grossing in my business, and
right.
I'm interested in selling it. Are you interested in buying it?" Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to send somebody over there to audit your business because if you're saying $10 million, I'm thinking maybe to buy the business at 80 million is probably a good price at that
Okay.
price range. So what I want to do is send somebody to audit your business. They audit you, and as they're auditing you, they come back to me and they say, "Hey, this guy's actually making more than $10 million a year." And what I'm going to say, okay, 80 million is a good price. Let's go with that.
Right.
But if they came back to me and said, you know what, this guy's he's only grossing $5 million a year, then I'm going to be like offering you a $40 million price
Right.
tag for your
Based
business.
upon what you've
So
seen because of the audit. Yeah.
yeah,
It's just
and
accountability.
so and we get audited every year. Taxes, we get audited. We
Hmm.
go in, we do our taxes. And what we've done is we flipped the script on the government. The government is being audited by the people now, which
Right.
I think is a good thing. And I think this should be a process that happens continually in our government because what's happening is cutting these funds down. And we're seeing a lot of areas where stuff has been done incorrectly and where criminal stuff has been done also. But I think it was yesterday or today, President Trump came out and said that it's possible that if this money that they have been finding, 20% of it going back to the taxes of the people. So if you're a tax paying person, you may in the future receive finances back from the government because of the
They came out 2 days
oversight.
ago, and I saw it again yesterday, that every person that has paid taxes, there's a plan getting put in play that every person that has paid taxes, they're going to receive money back, $5,000.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, $5,000. And
And I'm like,
that's
let's go. Because, I mean, like, for instance, Tate, one of the first things that Doge cut um, is one of our former president's daughter. I don't want to name names just because I don't want to seem like I'm piling up on one particular individual. One
but
of
her dad
our,
went to Epstein Island a lot. There we go.
yep,
Next
yep.
one.
Um, his daughter was paid millions of dollars a year, okay, to be a pen pal to, I believe it was less than a handful. So let's say less than 10. I'm not exactly sure the number, so if I'm wrong there, but it wasn't a
Oh,
lot.
no, I'm sorry. That wasn't Bill Clinton's daughter. That was President Obama's daughter.
Oh, I heard it was Bill Clinton's daughter.
No, it was Obama's. It was
It
Obama's
was,
daughter
but
that
either
was
way,
the pen pal,
yeah,
and she
she
was
was
making
paid
how many
millions of
five?
dollars to be a pen pal.
Yeah, I think it was like $5 million a year to be a pen
Yeah, to be
pal
a pen
with
pal.
somebody overseas. I mean, that's a great deal.
I'll be a
I
pen pal
mean,
for $5 million.
hey, I'll be a pen pal for $500.
There you go. Anybody want to
You
give us
know,
$500? We'll split it 250 each. Tate, we will be your pen pal.
we'll write you a letter on paper with a pencil or pen.
Yep, and I'll correct Tate's spelling.
Yeah, thank you. I will need that.
But I mean, there's all these things that they're finding, and I know we're not really going into how does our faith shape our politics. We'll get back to that. But I think what they're doing, and they're not going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes, but I actually believe they'll try to correct them as soon as possible. But it's something that needs to be done because what has happened is the government has gotten so big, so top heavy, that it's stifling anything from happening down here. And this I believe will clean it up. Will it be perfect? No. I mean, I was talking to my son Avery, who was on there, and he sent me a thing talking about how that, and I got to look at it, how that Doge has cut the amount going to the 9/11 Survivors Fund. Well, if that's the case, off the top of my head, I'm like, wait a second, I don't think that should be. but I would like to dive into, okay, why? Is it because people have died and there's not as much need? I don't know the reasons why. So I don't want to speak to that. But if it's an overreach, they can correct it.
That's important that we need to do due diligence, I guess would be the best way to put it, is when somebody sends you something like Avery sent you that particular item right there. And a lot of times people will receive something or saw something on news or read something, and it comes from a perspective, either left or right.
Right.
It comes from that perspective. And I think we need to do more in our lives when something comes across our plate like that. Is not just read the heading,
research it,
read the body of it, read the ending, and then also follow up and look at other outlets that are putting this information out. Because a lot of times, and this we are guilty of this a lot of times, is we affiliate with a particular party, so we get all of our news from one particular location. And what happens,
and you get it on your phone.
Swayed. Yeah, and there was a couple times during COVID where I would flip on MSNBC and watch it, and then I would flip right over to Fox and watch that, and then flip over to CBS and watch that. And you know what? They would be talking about the same thing, and I'd have 3 totally different views.
Yeah.
And I would be very frustrated because I'm like, you know what? This is the news. These people are supposed to give me the news. They're not supposed to be swaying me one way or another. Where's Walter Cronkite when we need him? Where is Walter? Bring Walter back, because I need somebody to give me the news. Just give me the news. So you know what I did? I watched BBC.
Really?
British Broadcasting Network. And you know what? When you watch BBC, you get the news from all over the world. You just don't get the news here in America. And you get, and I wouldn't say it's unbiased, but you get
more balanced.
It's more balanced. And there are some out there that say that they're fair and balanced. Well, yeah, they're fair and balanced on this direction. They're not fair and balanced in this direction. And when I find myself a person that's more in the middle when it comes to political ways of thinking, I'm not a hard left and I'm not a hard right. I'm more in the middle. And if you look at most Democrats and Republicans in this world, they're more in the middle than they are hard left or hard right.
Yeah. Just a plug here for no benefit whatsoever, but I have found out, because I can listen to Fox, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, and you get those jaded slants. One of the stations that I like to listen to is Newsmax or News Nation. And you might, they're on cable TV, and sometimes they have more liberal, but then you'll go to the next show and it's more conservative. And so it's more, I miss the days of Hannity and Combs. You know what I'm talking about?
Isn't the guy that was the anchor for CNN, what was his name?
Cuomo. Chris Cuomo's on there. And you know what? Yeah. I didn't like him when he was on CNN. I listened to him quite regularly on that because he's not having to toe the company line. He's allowed to be himself. And I don't always agree with him. Matter of fact, I disagree with him more than I agree with him. But he brings out a balanced approach. Usually.
Yeah,
sometimes
Chris Cuomo he's intelligent, bro.
And he's bold, man. I love the boldness and the bluntness of him.
Now, one of his best friends, a lot of people don't know this, Patrick Bet-David. There's a podcast called PBD. Patrick Bet-David and Cuomo are really good friends. As a matter of fact, they both have very differing views. Cuomo is more hard right, and Patrick Bet-David is more left.
Right.
And they get together and they have Patrick Bet-David loves to have debate. That's why he has him on there all the time. I tell you what, these guys.
That's the guy you sent me different clips of stuff, and I've listened to it and gone, wow.
Oh yeah, the PBD broadcast has some really good stuff on it. It's a really good show. Everything from business to politics to, he used to be a bodybuilder, a wrestler. He's from Iran. Just really.
Born in Iran, but he's American.
Yeah, he's an American. He was actually in our military.
That's awesome. So, Tate, let's go back to the initial question. What place does your faith play in politics? What is it? What is your faith play in politics?
I think my faith plays into my politics because when the church, just to break it down and be simple, churches sometimes they'll pass out a pamphlet and they'll have the Democrat side and the Republican side, and they'll have all the stuff that the Democratic person is for, and then on the other side, all the stuff that the Republican person is for. And what I'll do is I'll look at that and I'll like, okay, the Republican is for this and the Democrat is for this. So you know what? I'm for this. I like this idea. Check that one. And that I actually did that one year where I went down a list and started checking stuff off just because I don't tend to just go Republican or Democrat. I mean,
Right.
be honest with you, years back when Tulsi Gabbard was running for president, I was like, you know what? If that lady right there wins, I think I could vote for her. But the only problem I would have is her party platform is for stuff that I don't agree with, but I agree with most of everything she says.
Right.
Same way with Kennedy. With Kennedy, I mean, the guy has some really smart guy, has said some crazy smart things, and I was like, this guy right here would be a really good candidate for president. All of a sudden, he runs for president, but then he decides to pull out of the presidency and go with Donald. I almost said Pastor Trump, with President Trump's party.
Right.
But it plays a lot into my politics. It does. I struggle sometimes because I have what I think I want to do, and then I'm like, you know what? That's not right. I need to, maybe I should pray about that and make a decision after praying about.
I've made some people very, very frustrated with my stance. I like to think I'm more middle, but I'm probably not. The more I think about it, you could speak to that if you want to, Tate. So one of the statements that I've said is that because of the party platform, I could never vote Democrat. Even if the person said, well, I'm against abortion, your party's not. So if you become the leader of the country and your party's in power, you're beholden to your party over your personal politics first. And a lot of people don't understand that. So therefore, I could never vote for a Democrat because I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe in being against Israel. And there's more to it than that. But I mean, go back to Dr. Voris. I remember he said that one of the things that always sways him and how he votes, one of the very first things he looks at is how does that presidential candidate...
temporary until we get a handle on what's really going on.
Said every would-be dictator who ever grabbed
What's
power.
that? Hold on.
I have no idea.
I'm sorry, are you actually considering doing this?
What's that, Tate?
Something happened.
He's talking about a dictator.
Hey, hold on for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I might have to splice it here.
You're cool. I'll just keep talking. So while you do, I'll keep talking. So I'm one of those that I could never vote Democrat because I feel that Democrats, even if they say they're, against abortion and different things like that, I couldn't vote for them because I don't believe in the party platform. And when you elect the person, you're electing that party. And let's go to Donald Trump, Republican. I'm not a big fan of some of the things Trump is personally, some of the things he's done personally. But one of the main reasons that I voted Trump, and me saying this, is because Trump, being a Republican, the things in the party platform, although all not perfect, nothing's perfect. And we can't expect it to be perfect, even though all those things aren't perfect. But because Trump, being in the Republican Party, electing Trump, you're electing the party. And for the most part, I agree with the party. Is the party racist? No. That is a ploy that the left uses in order to try to keep us down. We're about personal responsibility. And you need to understand that when it comes to politics, people look at politics and you need to understand Republicans believe in personal responsibility and personal morality. Again, Republicans believe in personal responsibility and personal morality, where Democrats and liberals believe you need to control the group of people, and there is no personal responsibility. It's a group's responsibility, and it creates chaos. So that's why I can't vote for a Democrat or somebody liberal, because they make the statements that, well, okay, and it comes out as class warfare and racial politics, and they accuse the left accuses the right of being racist because we're saying, hey, that person's responsible, and they're saying, no, the group's responsible for the way he is, and it creates chaos.
Something I've had trouble with in the past with the two-party system is that you have a two-party system and you have two people that are running and you don't want to vote for either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the choice is you don't vote or you vote. But if there's a third person running from another party, like a libertarian party,
right,
or an independent person, you vote for that person. But then I remember years back, I voted for a guy by the name of Ross Perot, and I got so many people mad at me because I voted for Ross Perot. You voted for him, and you took away votes from our party, and you took away votes, and that's the reason why this happened. That's the reason why this happened. But we are always told, vote what you think you should vote. And I thought he would be a good candidate for it, and he didn't win, didn't get a chance to get in there.
He showed up though. He did have a showing.
Even though he did not win, and I knew he wasn't going to win, I voted for him because I felt like, in my mind, because I'm that person, I'm going to vote for the person who I think that would do the best job.
Right.
And if they're with a two-party system and there's a third person, with the Libertarian Party or with the Independent Party or with whatever out there, I may go that direction.
Right.
Because I tend to be more, be honest with you, I tend to be more in the middle. I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I'm more of an independent person. On my voter registration, it says I'm Republican, but in all truthfulness, I could vote either direction or vote, for somebody from a different party, like I said, the Libertarian Party.
Yes. Yeah, I understand. So you would say, as well as I would say, that our faith affects our politics. But let me say it this way. I think one of the things that we need to understand as believers in Christ, Christians, is that we're Christians first. And whatever we're associated with after that, it's second. And I think one of the things that has gotten turned upside down, inside out in this country is this phrase right here that I'm about to say. It goes God, family, country. When it comes to, or God and country. You've heard that phrase, it's God and country. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, nowadays, without looking at it, because we think that being American means being Christian when it's not, what happens is in a lot of people's mind, it's country then God. And they might not even accept that, but their actions show that. It should always be God first, then family, then country. And under family, that breaks down even more depth. And we've gotten it very, very confused because it goes God first, God first, God first, God first, God first. But what we've done is we've said, okay, well, I'm an American, so I'm going to pray for God to move in my country, and I'm going to ask God to do this in my country, and blah, 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 blah. And all that's well and good, but what's happened is that we've put in country before our relationship with God. And it should not be that way at all.
Well, I've even heard people say that they prayed for a particular thing and they knew it was going to happen, and by their prayer, they prevented it from happening in politics.
Wow. Glad they think they have that much power.
Yeah. I've heard people say it,
I'm not saying God doesn't listen to our prayers and God doesn't answer our prayers. He does. I'm here because he does that. But that's when you pray according to God's will.
I don't think God cares about your politics. Just like God don't care about your football team. God don't care about your baseball team. He don't care. I don't think God cares what team you're on. I don't care. I don't think God cares if you play for the Pittsburgh Steelers or if you play for the New England Patriots.
Well, I can answer that. On the 8th day, God made the Pittsburgh Steelers.
On the 8th day? Yeah.
God made the Pittsburgh
And if you
Steelers.
want to watch them and you want to watch the Super Bowl, watch the History Channel.
That's how it is for the Pats too.
That's true. We've been there, haven't been there in a while.
No.
But I say that because I it's
I
a
don't
team
agree with your
concept.
statement overall. I mean, I don't think God cares who you're affiliated with as far as party, but I do think he cares how you vote.
See, I don't think he does.
Then why would it say that God, okay, I wish I had the scripture in front. Then why would the Bible talk about that when there's a godly leader in power, the nation prospers, and when there's an ungodly leader, the nation perishes or is cursed or is in trouble? God wants you to have godly leaders so that he can bless it. And when you look at the Old Testament, talking about politics in the Old Testament, you read about the kings and who the next king is, and then it says they were evil and did more evil than their father, or they were good and they did this and they did that. And so God brings that out. So it does matter.
Maybe I'm crazy by thinking politics is like a team. I mean, if you're a Republican, you're on this team. If you're a Democrat, you're on this team.
Saying it that way, I could agree with what you're saying, but that's why I said God don't care what party you're part of, but he cares how you vote. He cares what you support. Let me put it that way. He cares what you support.
He cares if you're supporting abortion. He cares if you're supporting criminal activities and you know, that kind of stuff. But when you really get down to it in brass tacks in Washington, D.C., they're just politicians.
Yeah.
Really, with those guys up there, it's not, their affiliation doesn't really matter. They're just politicians. Because
That's why this is so weird with what's going on right now, because Donald Trump, is he a politician? Yes, but he's not. I mean, he's not been his whole life. He knows how to work the system because of him being in the business world, and he's putting people in those positions that know how to work the positions in order to get the best done for the American people. And a lot of the people, because they're getting their media sources from certain angles, and I'm talking liberal and conservative, they're either happy or very upset.
Yeah. Now I can tell you they're going to be super happy if they decide they're going to like that tax deal where everybody's going to get, if you're $5,000 coming back in your tax. And I know people are probably the media outlets are going to try to spin that and say, well, he's doing that because he's trying to get votes for the next, election. Well, you know what? You only get 2 terms, and he's
Right.
on a second term. So that doesn't really, and I think he's looking out for the betterment of the people is what I feel.
I agree.
I feel like he's doing a lot, but he's also doing things that I don't quite like. I mean, he froze some funds a couple weeks back. They froze a bunch of funds, and it affected my wife's job to where they froze. There were funds frozen that were because they were looking into this program. And it has something to do with subsidizing lower income families so their kids can go to,
Daycare.
go to school, go to
Right.
daycare, go to school or preschool, that kind of thing. And they froze the subsidy, and there was an email that was sent out by all the people in that area. And you can't freeze stuff like that. Me personally,
Didn't they open it back up when they started to realize the effect of it?
They did open it back up, but I mean, my opinion is I don't mind you freezing stuff, but I think you need to freeze the stuff that is garbage. Don't freeze everything trying to look into it. Unless they know something I don't know and they're doing something I don't know, because I mean, there's that. Then also I'm anxious to see what's going to happen when they go to the IRS.
Oh yeah.
They're there.
Could be very, very interesting. So does faith shape our politics? Yes, but our politics don't shape our faith.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Does that mean we always make the right choice? Nope.
No, because we're human. We're going to make bad choices. We do. You made a bad choice today. I mean,
What?
by starting
Playing
out with
20
that
questions with somebody that don't know how to
that
think.
was a bad choice.
You know, the bad choice wasn't playing 20 questions. It is who I was playing it with.
I didn't even know what you tried to say, bro. I'm like, what is this? What is this?
I just got to say, the interesting thing is I went over this with him before we started the podcast and explained.
I still didn't get it.
It's easy.
20 questions. 20 questions. Great day. Well, man,
so
this
are
has
politics
been another good
important?
one.
Politics are important, but they shouldn't shape you. You shape them.
Yeah, on a category of 1 to 10, politics is maybe important, like maybe a 4.
Yeah.
To me,
good one.
I mean,
Yep.
to other people, it may be more important. If you're in the political realm and you're working in that, it's probably more important to you. But I think there is there's some importance there, but it does not. Politics don't define me.
No.
Don't define me.
No. And here's one thing I'll say this, and then because we need to start to close up shop. One of the things that I think we need to understand is that we need to get back to the place in this country that just because your opinion doesn't agree with my opinion, that doesn't make you my enemy.
If that was true, you and I would have never talked ever after the age of 5.
That's true.
Because when you wrote on the ceiling in our bedroom,
You lying sack of crud. You wrote your name. I couldn't even stand up.
whatever.
On another note, let's go back to Naomi Faith was her name, I believe. The song was Last Word. You guys check that out. You can find it on YouTube. Is it on Spotify and other platforms as well, Tate?
I think it is. Yeah. Last Word, Naomi Faith. It's a single that came out February the 7th.
Man, I hope she does more because that was. I'm actually we have we use YouTube. We have when we have prayer meeting at my church, I have a YouTube playlist of like slower songs, fast songs, depending upon the atmosphere in the worship service. And that's one of the songs I'm going to be adding to our prayer service because it touched me when I listened to it. It was very, very powerful. And even with that, you said if you're going through something, this song will help you. I would say this, even if you're not listening to it, because you will soon be going through something, because you're either in something, coming out of something, or getting ready to go into something.
Yeah.
Your whole life.
Hey, my apologies because I had to jump up because there's somebody at the front door. That's why I had to run out there.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, that's what was going on. Apologize to everybody, but
hey, it's okay. We live life.
Hope everybody caught this today.
Were they a Democrat or a Republican?
I think you froze.
Did they agree with you on our politics? Were they a Republican, Democrat, Independent, middle of the road?
They were Amazon.
They were Amazon. So Wonder Woman showed up at Tate's house today. Get that?
Woman.
Yeah, she's from the Amazon.
Oh, from the Amazon, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we should go ahead and let everybody go and have a good day and catch this, bros. Hey, go on YouTube, pull this up, give us a like, and what's the other thing you got to click on there?
I'm getting ready to do it right now. I'm getting ready to head on out. Love y'all. Hope you watch this. Enjoy, and let's rock out on the way out.
All right. Later, guys.
Why aren't you playing? It's all well. There we go.